Well, welcome to the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in your God given purpose. So, today we are double clicking into solving problems. So, you've heard me, if you heard anything about me, you've heard me talk about multiple exit strategies. And what I mean by that is you have to have multiple ways to get to the Kizash. If you only have one way in terms of investing in real estate, if there's only one way to get you to the kids edge, then you're putting yourself in a riskier position. So if, for example, you purchase a property and you pay a little bit more for it because you're like, I can have this as a short-term rental, it's going to cash flow me $5,000 a month, so I can afford to pay a little bit more for it. However, if you listen to any video that I have put out, you know that I am preaching that you must buy right. And all of the old timers used to say, you make your money when you buy. And I promise, when I first heard that, I was like, I don't know what that means, but all of what they said, I tucked away in my memory bank, right? I'm like, I'm going to understand this one day. And so the one day happened several months ago, the fact that you make your money when you buy. If you pay too much for the property, in this example of you're thinking you're going to have it as a short-term rental, it's going to cash flow $55,000 a month. So let's say you pay $30,000 more for the property because you have the strategy that you're going to have it as a short-term rental. So you are figuring you're going to make more money than the average person who potentially was just going to live there, or the average person that was just going to rent it out to a long-term tenant and just get, X amount every single month because of a long-term tenant. So here's the point that I'm making. So in my city right now, Louisville, Kentucky, there is a moratorium on short-term rentals. And like I told you, and I said this, I promise you, I said this already, that in a city where short-term rentals are new, the government has not figured it out. And so since they can change the laws at any time, you want to be real careful with a strategy of a short-term rental in a place where they haven't figured it out. Now, Gatlinburg and Florida and all these places, like they figured it out. Like this isn't new to them. And so they understand how it all works. In Louisville, Kentucky, not so much. So, like I said, if you pay too much for the property and now you were under construction, they slapped out this moratorium, and now you're in a pickle because if you hold it as a long-term rental, maybe you can't cash flow it. So be very careful about having just one strategy. That's why I teach you with crunching the numbers and during my deal analyzation that the property needs to cash flow multiple ways. Will it cash flow as a flip? And even see, and there's that there's that issue with a flip. So let's say the market switches while you are in the middle of doing the renovation, and it is your ARV that you thought you were going to get for the property that's changed. So you want to have multiple ways to get to the kids ash. So you want to make sure that the property will cash flow as a flip. You want to make sure it will cash flow as a long-term rental. And you want to make sure that it will cash flow as a short-term rental. So at least 2 or 3 different strategies, maybe even rent by the room, at least more than one strategy to make sure that you get to the kids ash. So in terms of problem solving, this moratorium for somebody who was going to have a short-term rental, this is a problem. So the question then becomes, how good are you at pivoting? How good are you with solving problems? Because guess what? Problems will come up. What's the solution? Well, number one is surrounding yourself with the people who can help you to solve the problems that come up. Because sometimes, in and of ourselves, we're one dimensional. We can only see our perspective. But if you have a coach, if you have a general contractor, you have other people that can help you to solve this particular problem. So I want to pull up my flight assessment and show you in terms of when we're talking about solving problems, the pilot is the behavioral preference as it relates to solving problems. So as you can see, for me personally, I am a relatively good problem solver. Like I can, if you talk to me for more than 5 or 10 minutes and we're having a conversation, I promise you, I already have started solving your problem. I'm already working on a solution. I kind of wonder what my face looks like when I go into problem solving mode when somebody is having a conversation with me. I would love if I ever have a conversation with you, if you would like sneakingly snap a picture so that I know what my face looks like once I start going into problem solving mode. But here's the thing, some people solve problems at a different pace. So if this is you, we want to identify this at the very beginning so that we can be proactive instead of reactive. I want to take you to the second slide where in terms of the problem solver in you, like let's look at some of the words. So are you typically agreeable? Like you go along with what everybody says. Is that you? Or are you accommodating? Like you're a peacemaker. Like you are non-confrontational. You will go along with what everybody else is doing because you don't want to ruffle the feathers. You don't want to swim upstream and everybody is going downstream. Like, so you can understand where understanding this about yourself is going to be beneficial because when you invest in real estate, problems will come up. And if you don't have the ability to solve problems quickly, then real estate investing might be a little bit frustrating for you. But knowing this up front, we can address it. That's why this flight assessment is so important because it helps us to understand your behavioral preferences in these four key areas as they relate to investing in real estate. So I'm pretty decisive, I'm pretty competitive. And the funny thing is, I didn't even realize that I was competitive. But when I think about the specifics, I play the clarinet and I had to be first chair. Like I didn't realize this until now. Like if anybody challenged me, I was practicing extra hard because I didn't want to lose first chair because I was competitive. Competitive looks different in different areas. How do we relate this to investing in real estate? Well, you can't get every deal. So if I'm extremely competitive and I put an offer in on a property, it's okay for them to reject my offer, right? I don't have to get every property that I apply for, that I put an offer on. So understanding your behavioral preferences is going to be so important as it relates to investing in real estate and your ability to pivot, your ability to say, you know what? I was going to have this property as a short term rental, but you know what? Now I'm going to flip it. And my numbers will allow me to do that. Why? Because we analyze the property at the beginning so that we can know, yep, it's going to cash flow as a short term rental. Yep, it'll cash flow if I flip it. Yep, it'll cash flow even if I have it as a long term rental. So very important to have multiple exit strategies and to surround yourself with people that will help you to solve those problems if you are the type of either way, if you are the type of person that solves problems very, very quickly. It's great to have that team around you. And because if you solve problems quickly, sometimes you overlook the details. That's me. Sometimes I can overlook the details. Why? Because let's go, let's move. And if you have somebody in your life that is just like you, then chances are you could miss some important details. That's why it's so important to have a balance. So for me, the best people to work with are air traffic controllers. Why? Because air traffic controllers are going to have that attention to detail a little bit on the perfectionist side, but they work really, really well with pilots. Think about an airplane in general. A pilot doesn't take off until he hears from who? The air traffic controller to say, you know what, we're clear to take off, or you know what, nope, let's stay grounded. We're not clear for takeoff. So you can see when you do this assessment that you understand yourself personally, and then you're going to understand who you work best with. Real estate investing is a team sport. Don't do it alone. And with my program, you will get access to take the flight assessment as well. So just wanted to double click today into solving problems. And what about you? Go ahead and drop a comment. Leave me a message that says, what kind of problem solver are you? Do you feel like you solve problems pretty quickly? Or you're like, you avoid confrontation, you are very passive, you try to keep the peace. Like, what type of person are you? What do you think about yourself? And it'd be real interesting to find out if you are honest with yourself enough to really know your true self. Because if you're like me, sometimes you're not honest with yourself. And so having the assessment will help you to see the truth, as well as to help you to make the adjustments that you need to make in order to accomplish your goals with investing in real estate. So that's all I got for you today. Solving problems. Surround yourself with the people that can help you to solve those problems, as well as make sure before you get started investing in real estate that you analyze your numbers up front so that the property will cash flow in more than one strategy. Definitely have multiple exit strategies. And thirdly, make sure you buy right. Don't spend too much for the property, because the purchase price is directly related, has a direct correlation with your profit. So I'm Dana. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as hit me up if you're like, man, I just need to have a conversation so I can talk about my goals and I'm ready to get started investing in real estate. Go to bookdanaspencer.com, schedule your 15-minute free consultation so that we can get you started in having the cash flow that you want. And if you want, whatever your goals are, I was about to put my goals in your mouth. Whatever your goals are, we will help you to achieve those goals. And head over to my website, CoachDanaSpencer.com. Go ahead and get on my email list. I got a couple of freebies over there. If you have been living paycheck to paycheck, and I've got 8 strategies to help you to stop living paycheck to paycheck, as well as what are some of the things that you need in order to go to the bank. Maybe you're like, I'm ready to go to the bank. I'm ready to get pre-qualified. I've got some list of items over there for you in order to know exactly what you need in order to get started investing in real estate. What is it that the bank is going to ask you for? W-2s and bank statements and all of that. I've got the list of items that you need. So just head over to my website and get those freebies. Once again, I'm Coach Dana Spencer, and thank you for tuning in to the Dana Spencer Show. Until next time.